Hi guys, Anthony from SalesFit TV here, and today we're going to be talking about 5 killer tips that you can use to land your next job in a multinational FMCG. The reason why I want to share these is because over the last 6 months, our business here at Sales Activations would have received over 500 applications for roles, and we're talking about roles for brands like Corona, James Bogues, Lipton Iced Tea, Ben & Jerry's, these sorts of huge brands that have offices all throughout the world and offer whoever the successful people are an amazing opportunity to really kickstart their career and develop as individuals within these businesses. Now the problem is so many people miss these 5 things and they actually just hinder their chances of getting any role because of things that can be easily avoided. So what I want to share with you now is these 5 areas that are going to help you become stronger and obviously help you earn more money and become more rounded as a professional. The first one that I'd like to talk about is a glaring one, and it's about researching the company that you're going to be talking to, that you really want to work for. A lot of people end up on the back foot because they scroll through a Seek ad and go, yeah, I might apply for that. And it's a little bit half-hearted. Now that's natural enough, I can understand it, and I know I've done it myself. The flip side though is, what if you were to research your company and actually just set your sights on it and make sure that if you like V as an energy drink, for example, that you're going to do everything you can to be across what V are doing, to understand where their gaps are in the market and potentially how you could help. You could be working for a smaller distributor, you could be working in a retail shop and seeing these reps drive around in their fancy cars and you want to know how to get across there. Well, it all starts with just researching the company and really getting an understanding of it. If that company at the end of your research ticks those boxes that you feel as if you could get out of bed every day and give your all to that company, then it's time to start getting yourself in there and starting a conversation with those. Now, the second thing that you're going to be able to do is use that research when you actually get to talk to someone in the company. So many people that we've met at Sales Activations are missing opportunities, even at a phone screening level, where they just haven't got the hook that they need to be able to stand out over the phone. So we may have had contact with them either via email or a cover letter or a resume, and then they really aren't using the research that they've done. What's a great example? Okay, when you send your CV, if you're not accompanying it with a little note that says, hey guys, let's use V as an example. Hey guys, I noticed what you did with the Mardi Gras and and I think that sort of stuff is fantastic. Just as an aside, to show how flexible and innovative that company was over at Frucor, they actually put the flag on the Frucor can, on the V can, and rolled out product into the market to show how dynamic they were and inclusive. Now, that sort of stuff is an easy one to make your application stand out when you're shooting it through to the company themselves. I know when I'm looking at CVs, I'm going, that person's dragged me away from the other 300 that I'm looking at, and I really want to go and talk to them. The other thing might be you get the opportunity to talk to someone over the phone. So say you have gone through Seek, say you have received a phone call back from either a HR department or it might be a third-party recruitment company. You need to say something in that call that's going to show that person that you genuinely have done your research. There's no good jumping on Google, jumping on LinkedIn and really doing all those things without actually then communicating it at the right time when you get the opportunity to talk to someone. It might be, look, I notice you guys have been hiring more in Queensland recently, or you've had some vacancies. I'd love to come in and talk to you about how I can help in that area. It could be anything that you can really do to show that you're not just someone passively responding to a job ad. Now, if you're setting yourself up with a company and partnering yourself with a potential employer that you think is going to get you, I don't know, 5-10 years worth of growth and development and income, and then you're communicating that at every opportunity, then you're really starting to stand out from the bunch. Now, we've done some research on this area. Simple things like cover letters, 63% of applicants that come through over the last 6 months have not had a cover letter. So You then, if you're applying a cover letter and actually adding in detail around that, the reason why you're the special person for that role, you're starting to get yourself into a smaller, more powerful group when it comes time to talking. Now, when it comes to the interview, so you've been able to secure the interview. When it comes to this interview, it's about being yourself. This is where you can really own that space. I think previously, maybe 20 years ago, interviewing was a really stressful experience. It's probably still quite stressful today, but I think you've got more opportunity to be yourself and really loosen up and allow the interviewer to get to know you, and likewise get to know more about the company and about the types of people that you could be working with. This is a simple one. It can come everything from dress, dress style. I think that there's so many different options for making a great impression in an interview these days. It's just amazing. Some people still wear suits. My thoughts on that are, if you look really good in a suit, then wear a suit. If you're prepared to spend the money on a suit that really fits you and it fits your personality, then absolutely. If you're more of a jacket and open shirt guy, then wear the jacket. Don't feel as if you have to conform into some sort of person that you're not, just because you're in an interview situation. The final thing that I would share with you about nailing your job and just bolstering your career is follow-up. When I've interviewed 15 people, I probably end up with 4 or 5 that I think, wow, they really made an impression. I'm so glad that I met those people. Then it's up to those 4 or 5 to stay in contact with me. Now, that's not in the traditional rule book. The traditional rule book says that I get back to you, within 7 or 14 days or something like that. But in reality, on the business side, something could happen tomorrow that absolutely changes circumstances and deprioritises your application. It's not your fault, but you need to be able to be on the front foot when it comes to staying top of mind with me. Because again, I only have met you a couple of times and I'm still not 100% convinced that I can offer you a role. But if you start to build a relationship, or continue, I should say, to build a relationship with me, then I know that through a text message to say, hey, that was a really great interview, really enjoyed your time there. I know that you're going to do that when you're in front of a customer for your company that you're working for, or you're going to be that type of person. Likewise, whether it be an email or a phone call. This phone here is probably the most fearful thing that you can use when you're actually talking to someone, but it's the most powerful. I've had people ring me 3 times and it hasn't put me off, or I have never thought that they were pushy, because they were really well spoken on the phone, really clear in what was in it for me, i.e. their talents and skills and using them for my business, and I appreciate it. So guys, those tips, starting with a target in mind, making sure that your research is thorough, and then really making sure that you utilise that research and share it and sell it and let people know along the journey that you know about their company and what role you can potentially fill. And then following up will put you into a smaller group. Now, we've got a couple of callers on the line that I'd love to throw to now to get their thoughts on this subject, because I know it can be super frustrating when you're out there pumping out CVs, you want to make a shift in your career. So what we'll do now is, Chris, I think we've got Josh on the line, have we? Josh from Alexandria. G'day, Josh. It's Anthony here, mate. You're live. Good, thank you. What's your question, mate? What are your thoughts on this?
So basically, my question was, they say you build a first impression of someone in the first 7 seconds of meeting them. I was just wondering what is some of your recommendations for maximising these first 7 seconds when going into an interview?
Yeah, look, I think that's a really good question. Like I've sort of mentioned, I think that I think you're making a first impression way before the interview. So I'll come to the question around when you actually get the chance to meet them. But I think that there may be companies that you might want to work for, and I'll give you an example. There was a guy who wanted to work for us at Sales Activations. We had a role going with Lipton Iced Tea. And he found our email address off our website, so it's nothing to do with the CCAD. And in the subject heading, this was in 2012, and Ryan, his name was, and I'll never forget him, even though we've had hundreds of different roles. In his subject line, he just wrote, guys, guys, guys. So it was guys, guys, guys. And that was the sort of urgency that was like, so before 7 seconds, that's like the first 1 second, I'm like, I need to open that email. You know what I mean? Who's that audacious that they're emailing saying, guys, guys, guys? And then he went on and just, a 2-line email, saw your ad, I've applied, you'll see my application come through, but you need me because I'm just a rock star in this sort of stuff and I'm going to make it count. So that really stood with me as a lesson. I was able to kind of take that aboard and go, and I've actually pinched it and used it when I've tried to reach hard to get people myself. So, because, I'm always in a mode where I need to reach busy people as well. Coming to your question, I think the first impression is that you are, when I think about when I'm meeting someone new, I think that sense of style is important. So I want to know that they're confident enough in themselves in whatever they've chosen to wear, that it suits them, and I can see that they would be comfortable wearing that, at a wedding or whatever.
Sure.
I think that an eager smile and eager, firm handshake, again, do it for me. So what's that? That's probably 3 or 4 seconds. And then, but they've got, if you've done those first few things, then I think you've kicked off things in a massive way. So, and then I think just those general social skills about sitting down and just finding the right time for a natural conversation to evolve really help. That would be my thoughts on that. Does that resonate with you?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Okay, mate. Well, look, hopefully that helps in some sense. And yeah, stay tuned. And thanks very much for the call, Josh. Appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you.
No worries. And
We've also got Tony on the line.
Tony, fantastic. Tony, what are your thoughts on this subject? Getting hired by the right company to make your career kick off?
Look, my biggest problem I have, and I'm hoping you can help me, is how can I best tailor my resume for a job?
Yeah, look, I think that's a really good one. Are you looking for sales jobs, Tony?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. I think that's a really good one that you bring up there. The reason being, I think that resumes in a lot of businesses now, a lot of business leaders that I talk to, whether they be marketing or sales managers in these companies that you're probably applying for, are just using resumes less and less and less. So they're understanding that you can write anything on a resume, but it's not going to actually, like too many people have been able to sort of, have a perfect resume, but then deliver not enough. So I think that that makes the resume more powerful because it means that whatever you put at the top third of the page, there's experts in this area, but the top third of the page, if it doesn't talk directly to that job, and if it just rattles off a whole bunch of your skills and attributes, then it's almost like it just has missed its opportunity to be a really good marketing tool for you. Can you give me an example? You don't have to name the company, but of a role that you have tailored a resume for that's worked for you, or that hasn't worked?
I applied for a government job and I was shown a particular way of setting out a resume, and I spoke to people. Like you said earlier, you do your research, and I actually spoke to the person who was doing the interviewing and so forth. And I said, look, what do I need to do? And he set out a pro forma or a format, so I tried to run by that format, but it didn't get me anywhere because I then later rang up again and said, hey, I didn't get the job, what did I do wrong? And he's gone to another pro forma and said, this is the way we do it here. So it's very different. I find it's very different from one role to the next on how people want it done. I've showed my resume to several people, and from one person will say, yeah, that's the right way to do it. Another, some of them say, no, that's just completely gibberish. So I'm just not sure which way to go on these things.
Yeah, look, I'm hearing you. I think it can be enormously frustrating, this whole process of landing that dream job where you can lock in for the next stage of your career. Look, the key things that I'm learning over particularly the last 5 years, is that this whole process is just, the time period has just shrunk in terms of the amount of care and attention that anyone's application gets in terms of a CV. In regard to tailoring it, I would be just trying to simplify it as much. Anything over 2 pages, I would question as to whether or not that really needs to be there. I think the key things are, if you've got experience that directly relates to that role, try and get that at the top sort of third of the page if you can, so as it clearly states a language that's talking, like if you're talking field sales and you've had some sort of field sales experience, then I'd just try and sort of get that somewhere in the top half of the page at least. But I think, Tony, the best thing you can do is write a really well thought out 2-paragraph cover letter that talks to your resume. And what I mean by that is, it's like, if you're talking to me about a role with Corona, I want in the first 2 sentences you to say why you're the guy for Corona. And then if your if you don't have the right experience, for example, in your resume, I think that the best thing to do is to be able to acknowledge that straight up and say, you'll see in my experience that I've got, attributes. Whilst I don't have direct sales experience, as one example, I've got other attributes where I've excelled in this reason. So that's why I think you should talk to me. So I think that almost, if you can use the 2 in tandem, a cover letter, the CV, it just takes the pressure off your CV to try and, as you say, it's hard to just create one. You drive yourself bonkers trying to create one that meets all the different sort of businesses and individuals that you're going to get out there. If you've showed it to a few people and you're getting feedback that it works, I'd actually put some more energy on just trying to market yourself through a cover letter, through another email. As I say, it's with these companies, what is a fantastic approach is if you find another channel to get them. And what I mean by that is, say you're working for, say you wanted a job with Ben & Jerry's ice cream. It's one thing, you've seen the ad to apply and do a great job there, but I'd find another avenue to try and reach them if you really decide that that's a job that you want. It could be via Facebook. You could message one of their brand managers and say, hey guys, I've just applied. I'm so keen about this company. Then at least you just bit by bit starting to build your brand and take more pressure off just having a resume alone. Does that resonate? Does that make any sense to you?
Some good tips there, something to think about.
Yeah. Fantastic, Tony. Look, I hope you nailed the perfect job soon. I know how frustrating it is when you're out there trying to get this, and that's the aim of this short chat today, was just to try, and we'll continue to build out anything that we learn and pass it on to anyone who's interested, because there's no shortage of jobs out there that are just fantastic in these multinationals. There's just a bit of a bottleneck because I think the way of getting them has changed, and we need to just constantly review that and use all the tools that you've got. But thanks very much for the call. I really appreciate it, Tony.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Have a great day.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
See you later. So guys, to recap, this is about a changing world. This is about companies with big brands, but they still rely on people like you that have got their brands at heart and and this vision in mind and what you can do. It's your job, if particularly in the world of sales, where we work in sales activations and Sales Fit TV, if you're in sales, you need to demonstrate to the person that you can sell. You can sell yourself. And our next episode will be around selling yourself once you get the job. So once you're in there, how do you make a great impression in the first 7 days so as you can actually stand out and be noticed and actually cared for in the right way throughout your induction period as someone to watch, someone who's going places, someone who's not just here as a passenger. So guys, it's about research. It's about using that research to sell yourself and really sell a solution that you're going to provide to that company. And then it's about never ever letting go, because even if you think you're pestering, you're not. If you're pestering, you'll soon know. And if they take polite follow up as pestering, then they're probably not someone you want to work for anywhere. So thanks very much for watching today. We can't wait to continue to build up your knowledge via this medium and start to share these things. Thanks to Tony and thanks to Josh for phoning in. We'll keep the conversation going and can't wait to see you in the next episode where we start to talk about, once you're in that job, actually starting to make a name for yourself. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.